Hey guys, today we're going to learn how to feed a starter. This is mine, Lorelai. I did feed her last night, but she does need to be fed again this morning. So we're going to walk through that. So you're going to need flour. I use whole wheat. And yes, this big old bag is used to feed just my starter. You're going to need a long spoon or a stick, something to get to the bottom of your jar. You're going to need some filtered water. I like mine warm. That's just what my starter likes. And of course, you're going to need a scale to make sure that you're measuring everything properly. Now, I have a lot of baking to do, so I need to feed my starter a large amount. This jar is not going to be enough for the rise, so I'm just going to split this into two and then feed them both a large amount. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the scale and make sure it's at 0 so that I can do all my measurements properly. This is her. She's inactive, but she's still very beautiful and smells delicious. So I'm going to go ahead and put 145 grams of starter from this jar into my new jar. Now, my starter likes a 1:1:1 ratio, which means if I'm putting 145 grams of starter in my jar, I'm going to add 145 grams of flour and 145 grams of water. So it's all equal amounts. There are different ratios you can use: 1:2:2, 1:4:4, 1:5:5. It all just depends on what works for your starter. And of course, I thought I had everything with me and I forgot my spatula. So I'm gonna go grab that so that I can scrape down the sides of my jar, because those are all the goodies that you want at the bottom. Okay, now I do use whole wheat flour because I find that whole wheat flour has made my starter stronger. Okay, and I do feed my starter twice a day. That's the thickness of her. I do feed at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. I just find that since I've been doing this, my starter has become much stronger. You don't have to feed it a large amount, but we will get into that. Sourdough starter, just sourdough in general, gets very messy. Please do not be afraid of it. You can always wash your hands. It's never that serious. So let's go do that. Okay, perfect. Clean hands. So now that we have 145 grams of starter in our jar, we're going to add 145 of our flour in there. So make sure you tear it out to 0 because you want to make sure you're adding the right measurements. So I'm just going in with a regular old spoon and I'm going to add in my flour to my jar to equal the same amount of starter that I have, okay? So remember, I put 145 grams of starter. I'm going to put 145 grams of flour, and I do make a bit of a mess. That's fine. That's what sourdough is all about. Now, I do discard my sourdough, not always, but in another video I'll explain the discard to you guys. But for now, we're just going to learn how to feed the starter. Okay, so here we have 145 grams. I'm going to put my scale back to 0 and add 145 grams of my water. Now guys, you don't always have to feed it so much to keep it alive. Like, you can feed it 50 grams of starter at a time. Okay, there she is. So you can do 50, 50. So 50 grams of starter, 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water, just to keep a small amount on your counter. Again, I'm feeding it a lot because I have a lot of baking to do. So you want to make sure you're really mixing this good, pushing your stick or your spoon up and down just to get the air in it. That really helps with the feeding. And you want to make sure there's no dry flour bits around your jar. Okay, so really mix that in. Okay, because you want her to be well fed. Her or him. Really, your starter is who you want your starter to be. Make sure you give it a name. It really does add character. Mine is Lorelai. If you know, you know. So this is the kind of consistency I like my starter to be. She likes to be a little bit on the thicker side. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrape all the rest of my starter off my spoon down, because this is all goodness that you want to keep in your jar. I'm not sure why I'm blurry here, but that's okay. Okay, now scrape down your sides. This is all the goodness that you want to keep in your jar, and there you go. I'm gonna go feed the other one and I will be back. Okay, they are both fed. Obviously, one has more than the other. One has about 175 grams. The other one has about 145 grams of each flour, water, and starter. So I'm gonna go ahead and place my rubber bands where my starter ends so that I know where I fed it last and I know when it doubles in size so that I can keep an eye on it and know when it's ready. So there we go. Oh, let's fix that up a little bit. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to scrape down the sides a little bit just so I can have a better visual reference of what my starter's looking like. There you go. My jars are a little bit messy, guys, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my paper towel. I like to fold it in half just in case I have dry air in my home. I don't want it getting into my starter and affecting it. So I double up the paper towel, put a rubber band on top to keep it shut, and that's that. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same to the second one. Put it on top, a rubber band, and there you go. Those are my two starters. We're gonna wait for them to grow. Bye.